Skin the Heart Away Stuck T. Back with another EP. And I'm here for a good time, not a long time. I ain't gonna hold up too much of y'all time today. But I'm here with my fight breakdown between Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. will be facing off with one another this Saturday at a catchweight at the 157-pound division. Conor Benn, 21-0, 14 KOs, age 26, 5'8". He's facing off against Chris Eubank Jr., who's 32-2, 23 KOs, age 33, 5'11". And the catchweight bout at the 157-pound division. This is a storied, UK battle, right? Everybody knows Nigel Benn and Chris Eubank Sr. had their great bouts, you know what I mean, back in the day. This is the second coming of the fight, Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn, who is the son of Nigel Benn. They'll be facing off this Saturday, but I'm going to get right into it, y'all. I ain't going to hold up too much of y'all time. We got Chris Eubank Jr., who was trained by Roy Jones Jr. Chris Eubank Jr. Is 33 years old. At this point in his career, Chris Eubank Jr. has kind of underachieved. You know what I mean? Looking on the grand scale, Chris Eubank Jr. faced off against Leon Williams, Marcus Morrison, Matt Corbo, James DeGale, George Groves, Envy Deer, just to name a couple guys, of reference. In this fight, he's facing off against Conor Benn. Conor Benn is a younger guy, prospect, 24 years old. 24 years old. He's faced off against Chris Van Herden, Chris Algieri, Adrian Granados, Samuel Vargas, and Sebastian Formella. You know what I mean? For recognizable names. Conor Benn is naturally a 147-pounder or welterweight. Chris Eubank Jr. is naturally a 160-pounder or middleweight. Again, this fight is at 157. This fight is your classic, right? This is boxer, versus brawler, right? Puncher brawler versus, boxer puncher, maybe, right? You call Chris Eubank Jr. As of late, Chris Eubank Jr. Chris Eubank Jr. has been doing more boxing, right, than punching, right? But you will consider him what a boxer puncher, a version of a boxer puncher. But as he's gotten older, as he's aged a little bit, he's gone more so towards boxer. You know what I mean? That's why I'm calling this battle between, the brawler versus the boxer. Conor Benn is the young, hungry brawler. Conor Benn is the young, hungry brawler in this fight. Conor Benn is the underdog in this fight. Let me tell you the odds right now. Actually, I can tell you the odds. I believe Conor Benn is a slight underdog going into this fight, as he should be. Chris Eubank is the naturally bigger guy. I think this is a classic brawler versus boxer fight. Conor Benn being the brawler, Chris Eubank, being the boxer. I believe Chris Eubank, the way Chris Eubank has to win this fight is Chris Eubank is going to have to make Conor Benn uncomfortable. Southern T, what you mean? He's going to have to make him uncomfortable. He's going to have to, apply pressure on Conor Benn. He's going to have to get Conor Benn out of his element, right? As the Kung Fu fighter, he's going to have to be able to put Conor Benn. He's going to have to be able to put Conor Benn on his back feet, right? Going to have to make him fight in a way that he hasn't had to fight yet, which is very well possible, right? With Chris Eubank having that size advantage and being a bigger guy, instead of him being, naturally doing what he likes to do, right? Which is box guys. I feel like his best way to win this fight is going to be to put, pressure and to try to overwhelm the smaller fighter in Conor Benn. For Conor Benn to win this fight, Conor Benn is going to have to come in here, and Conor Benn is going to have to be defensively sound. That's one of Conor Benn's, bigger, that was one of his bigger problems in the past. It was Conor Benn, right? His defense. Conor Benn is going to have to come here. He's going to have to be defensively sound. He's going to have to be aware of the power that Chris Eubank has, because true enough, Chris Eubank is going to be the strongest guy that Conor Benn had to face off, right? given the fact that he is a middleweight naturally. So he's going to have to be aware of that power is Conor Benn. He's going to have to be defensively sound, right? And he's going to have to be aware of the punching power of Chris Eubank Jr. What I'm believing in this fight, that whichever guy, if Chris Eubank comes in and he tries to box Conor Benn, right, I think that's putting Conor Benn right at home in his natural place, right, where he likes to come in, walk guys down, and inflict damage on them, right? I believe Eubank is going to have to take Conor out of his element. I think he's going to have to put the pressure on Conor Benn. He's going to have to hit Conor Benn and make Conor Benn feel him the way that Conor Benn likes to, hit people and make them feel him. If Conor Benn isn't able to hurt Chris Eubank Jr., I believe Chris Eubank Jr. will go in here, walk Conor Benn down, be the bigger guy, and eventually stop him, right? But if Chris Eubank, he comes in here and let's say that Conor Benn is able to hurt Chris Eubank Jr., which is a question in this fight, him being able, is his power going to translate up to the 157-pound limit? Is it going to translate up? That's one of the questions in this fight as well. But if he's able to land on Chris Eubank Jr. and he's able to hurt Chris Eubank Jr., then I think Chris Eubank Jr. is going to be in for a long night. Conor Benn has shown boxing ability, although I edge Chris Eubank as being the better boxer. Conor Benn is the younger, more explosive athlete. The strength in this fight is still yet to be seen between the two with the weight differential, right? But as of late, Conor Benn seems to be the bigger puncher. Now, Chris Eubank is a bigger guy, so there's weight to be seen, right? Who exactly is the bigger puncher? But I tell you this, I think this fight is basically going to come down to one thing and one thing only. If Conor Benn is able, to land on Chris Eubank, if Conor Benn is able to land on Chris Eubank, right? If he's able to locate him, he's able to land on him, then I got Conor Benn in this fight. If Chris Eubank Jr., comes in and he tries to box Conor Benn, right? He puts Conor Benn in his natural element, as the cat chasing the mouse. I believe that's advantage Benn. If Eubank comes in and he puts that pressure on Conor Benn, if he comes in and he fights more like a brawler, right? If he fights more like the brawler against a smaller guy, I think that gives him the best chance to win in this fight. Chris Eubank is going to have to be able to take what Conor Benn is dishing out, and vice versa. In this fight, I don't really think it's going to come down to, who has the better offense in this fight, right? Because they both are good in their own way on offense. I believe this fight is going to simply come down to who takes the better punch between the two. You know what I mean? Who takes the better punch between the two? And this fight is going to be hard to really gauge, especially with it being a catch weight, right? If you look at it on the surface, Chris Eubank Jr. is supposed to go in here. He's supposed to walk Conor Benn down and put him out of there. But it's something in this fight that's telling me that Conor Benn isn't going to be the easiest guy to go in there and knock out. Chris Eubank had made a statement. He said, well, we never seen Conor Benn hurt. We don't know how Conor Benn will react, to getting hurt. We don't know how Conor Benn, will react to being hit because he never really been hit. You know what I mean? Which is true. I think in this fight, it's going to come down to, can Eubank take Conor Benn's punch, and can Benn take Conor Eubank's punch? In Benn's last fight, he looked more impressive than Chris Eubank Jr. to me. Chris Eubank Jr. looked extremely underwhelming in his last fight. He chose to box on the back foot, which I think in this fight, if he chooses to do, that's going to get him in trouble against a seek and destroy guy like Conor Benn. I'm getting into my prediction point of this. I see this fight going like this. Both guys, it's going to start off as a boxing match, I believe, right? Both guys are going to land a couple shots, and then I think around round 2 or round 3, somebody is going to decide, well, he can't really hurt me, and I'm going to go in here and I'm going to try to stop this guy. And I believe that guy that's going to, figure that out, that's going to decide that, I think that guy is going to be Conor Benn. I think Chris Eubank, he's going to go in here and he's going to attempt to fight this fight, kind of like he did his last fight. He go attempt to box Conor Benn, and I think that's going to be his downfall because Conor Benn is the younger, more explosive athlete at this point. I believe Chris Eubank, right? I believe he reacts. I believe he reacts in a different way from Conor Benn when he gets hit, from how Conor Benn acts when he gets hit. Again, I have stated the thing about Conor is his defense. His defense, is sometimes chippy and he leaves himself open. So I've seen, Conor Benn get hit. I've seen them walk through shots, continue to get hit and not get hurt. You know what I mean? If Chris Eubank is dependent on Conor Benn not knowing how to react when he get hits, he's going to be in for a rude awakening because I seen that guy get hit and he reacts a lot better than Chris Eubank Jr. When Chris Eubank Jr. gets hits, he goes into full boxing mode. He stays on the outside. He don't really engage, and he turns into a counterpuncher. And I think that's exactly how Conor Benn is going to beat him. I don't think Conor Benn is going to get the knockout, but I think Conor Benn is going to land enough on Chris Eubank Jr. to turn him into a counterpuncher. And I got Conor Benn winning this fight by unanimous decision. I'm going to go 7-5. Conor Benn over Chris Eubank Jr. I think Chris Eubank Jr. is going to leave a lot to be desired. I think we go see Chris Eubank Jr. doing a lot of moving and circling the ring on the welterweight. And I believe that that's going to get Conor Benn the edge in this fight. I think he's going to be able to land the more crisp, the crisp shots, the more visible shots. And I think he's going to be able to outpoint Chris Eubank Jr., 7-5, to a victory. I'm going to call it 7-5 Conor Benn. Split decision over Chris Eubank Jr. But that's all I got. I ain't going to keep y'all in this thing too long. Skin the Hardaway Southern Tea. This ain't the past. This ain't the future. But this the present. That's how we rocking. And I'm out. Love.